Well, Black voters are very risk averse. We will not support anyone unless we're convinced that that person can beat the Republican. For a variety of reasons, Black politics now amounts to little more than keeping Republicans out of office. Anybody who questions, who wants to demand, who wants to have a movement is ignored or shut up in favor of. And we're always told that, and it's even worse now that Trump is president, the only thing we can do is keep Republicans out of office because they are seen as such a threat to us. And it's logical for people to feel that way about them, but I don't think that this strategy is very useful. So all you needed to do to beat back Sanders and raise Biden up was to convince Black people that Bernie Sanders can't win. And there was a coordinated effort. I'm going to call it propaganda. We're propagandized about a lot of things in this country, which was, so people were told that, well, you may like what Bernie Sanders talks about. You may want Medicare for all, but white people don't want it, and white people aren't going to vote for him. So you have to vote for someone. Biden's always called a moderate, but he's very conservative. He's always a right-wing Democrat. And people were told they had to, he was the only choice to defeat, and the ability to beat the Republican is defined as getting white people to vote. And that even happened with Obama. In 2008, Black people were not solidly behind him until he won the Iowa caucuses, and it became clear that white people would vote for him. And then everyone gravitated towards him because they were convinced he could win. But this effort to say that that Bernie Sanders cannot win, that white people won't vote for him, was very successful. And people at Black Agenda Report, we refer to as the Black misleadership class, the politicians like Congressman Clyburn in South Carolina, who disparaged Bernie Sanders, and that's, you know, a more conservative state anyway. But to be told that Sanders can't win, that the only one that white people will vote for, therefore the only one you should vote for, is Biden. And this is just self-defeating, and nobody remembers what happened in 2016. We were all told that Hillary Clinton was the most electable, and Trump is the one in the White House. But I think for a variety of reasons, that's forgotten. I think Russiagate was used very successfully in convincing people that they didn't have to question the Democrats. It was all some nefarious plot with an evil leader in another part of the world that put Trump in the White House, and not, as I am convinced, corruption which created incompetence in the Democratic Party. I believe Trump's election is entirely the fault of the Democrats. But nobody talks about that. So people listen, the same people who ought to be discredited now, the same people who should be ignored now, who told us all Hillary Clinton couldn't lose, are being listened to again. So I think that's what the support for Biden in the Black community is. I think that's what it is about. And as far as the larger Democratic Party, they had one goal this year. That was to make sure Bernie Sanders didn't get the nomination. And that's why they had so many candidates. They wanted to see, you know, who would stick, throw them all up against the wall like mud and see who sticks. And then coalesce around that person. Sanders takes some of the blame too. He has not attacked Biden as he should have. It was, I think, a big mistake for him to say Biden could beat Trump. He was asked if Biden could beat Trump, and he said yes. He should have said maybe, but I can definitely beat Trump, but something, anything other than that. So that gave those people who were afraid anyway, it gave them a reason to doubt him. And I also think the smears against Bernie Sanders have been very successful. Hillary Clinton has never let up, blaming him for her loss. And for some reason, people still listen to her. I don't understand why. I don't know how you raise $1 billion, but you can't get 10,000 more votes in Michigan. But that's what we've been told. Russiagate was cooked up because, in part, for to excuse the Democrats of their failure. And there are many, many failures. They lost more than 900 seats in the House and in state legislatures across the country. And one of the arguments against Sanders was the Democratic establishment or this or that pundit or expert said, well, they'll lose seats if Sanders is the nominee. Well, these same people don't talk about how they managed to lose 900 seats when Obama was in the White House. So we have this situation where this man who was never very bright, who is very politically conservative, who is obviously ill. I don't know if he has dementia. I don't know what to call it, but he is not healthy. There's something wrong with him.
We need to activate the reserve corps of doctors and nurses and beef up the number of responders dealing with these crush of cases. And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing. I've spoken enough of that. We can make a personal protective equipment. Look, here's the deal. We have to do what we did in the 40s and the 20s, the 2020s. And we can do that. We need to build a medical arsenal here. Third, the president needs to end the infighting and bickering with his own administration. Listen to the scientists and provide clear guidance. The American people are not getting clear leadership.
And now we have a woman who has apparently tried to come forward in the past with a story of sexual assault, but they're sticking with him and they're trying to hide him. There was supposed to be one more debate. Sanders says he will be in that debate. Biden and other Democrats say there's no reason for a debate, and everyone's trying to shut it down. We don't need any more debates. We don't need any more primaries. Millions of people haven't voted yet. Here in New York, we were supposed to have a primary in April, which has now been pushed back to June. How do millions of people not get the chance to vote? Biden's, I'm assuming you've seen his recent appearances. First, he disappeared for a while, and especially at this moment with the COVID-19 crisis and Trump's lack of leadership and his misstatements and lies, his usual. This would be, you would think, a time for the presumptive Democratic Party nominee to really step forward and show leadership, but they've been hiding him. And when you see the public appearances, even the softball interviews that he can barely get through, you can see why. And now there are these crazy rumors they're going to replace him with Andrew Cuomo. It's I have no idea how much validity there is to that. But this is a very crazy year because the Democrats are they are committed to making sure that there is no discussion of change. There is no discussion of even a tiny bit of liberalish reform. That they are going to stick with their neoliberal policies and keep us all under billionaire rule. And that's why we have ended up where we are.